Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Penguin Nonsense. I am your host, Edith, and it's another Monday. It's another day of the week. Another start of the week. And we are back from New York. We are back to our normal set. New York treated us well. I always said that, it's good for people to go out there and explore as much as you can. And definitely getting to see the other side of New York has been amazing. Getting to see outside the city for sure has been amazing. I wish we could go back and explore so much more. I'm sure there is so much more to explore. And New York is so big, but every time we go, we always come back with something new. So I think it has been a really cool experience to go to one state and just be so much to do. But other than that, we are back. We have gone back to work for a week now. I actually got sick like not long after we came back, but I'm better now. And catching up work has been exhausting, but that's a whole nother story. Other than that, everything has been great. Living that marriage life is great. I don't have my rings on, so if you look for them in the videos, I don't have them on. So sometimes I like to pretend I'm still single. I'm kidding, Jose. I'm kidding.
She doesn't love me.
No. Goodness. But yeah. So without further ado, let's move on to our first story of the week. So I don't know if I guess, the algorithm of things I've been searching on has brought me to the WHO part of the internet, the World Health Organization. So a lot of the stories that have been popping up has been to do with like the World Health Organization. And so I bring out another story of the World Health Organization, and it's titled, "Who Calls on Countries to Increase Taxes on Alcohol and Sugar Sweetened Beverages." The World Health Organization is releasing today new data that shows a long global rate of taxes being applied to unhealthy products such as alcohol and sugary sweetened beverages. The findings highlight that the majority of the countries are not using taxes to incentivize healthier behaviors. To help support countries, WHO is releasing a technical manual on alcohol tax policy and administration. Globally, 2.6 million people die from drinking alcohol every year, and over 8 million from an unhealthy diet. Implementing tax on alcohol and SB will reduce these deaths. Half of all countries taxing SSBs are also taxing water, which is not recommended by WHO. Although 108 countries are taxing some sort of sugar-sweetened beverage, globally on average, excise tax, a tax designated for a specified consumer product, represents just 6.6% of the price of soda. At least 148 countries have applied excise taxes to alcoholic beverages at a national level. However, wine is exempted from the excise taxes in at least 22 countries, most of which are in the European region, which explains a lot. Globally, on average, the excise tax share in the price of the most sold brand of beer is 17.2. For the most sold brand of the most sold spirits type is 26.5. A 2017 study showed that taxes that increase alcohol prices by 50% would help over 21 million deaths over 50 years and generate nearly 17 trillion in additional revenues in US dollars. This is equivalent to the total government revenue of 8 of the world's largest economies in 1 year. Um, the the thing goes on and on talking about like things that could be made better, that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I could go on and on about this one, but um, am I okay with having tax on sugar drinks and alcohol and that kind of stuff? I mean, we already get taxed on everything else. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Healthy food is really expensive here in the US at least. It's honestly probably not as expensive as it is outside the countries because I've seen some like fruits and stuff like in Japan and Korea and stuff like that. Their prices are ridiculous. But at the same time, it's like it's so hard for us to eat healthy because healthy stuff is expensive. So we resort to eating junk food and that kind of stuff because it's not as expensive and because it just tastes better. Um, and I think it depends on people and their lifestyle. Like not everybody wants to be a healthy diet freak, and not everybody wants to be a desserts every day kind of person. Like I think everybody has their own way of living, and I think messing with that and like taxing it more just so you can make healthier people, I feel like that sucks because that takes a lot of our um I want to sound like a very redneck American, but that's like that's our right to decide what we want to eat or don't want to eat, you know? Uh, I don't understand why should we be taxing to this stuff. I do agree, like, I'm not saying people shouldn't drink and I'm not saying people shouldn't be eating sweet and stuff because I'm the first one. Like, I didn't get this chubby because I decided to eat healthy. I got this chubby because I eat sweets like crazy. But I know alcohol is a whole different topic. So I'm not saying we shouldn't drink alcohol, and I'm not saying we should get rid of it, but moderate it. It sucks that we have so many deaths because of it, but I think that also just comes to people making decisions, and we either decide to have one glass or we decide to have 20. So I don't, I don't necessarily think that us having to have like higher taxes on them is going to stop us from buying these stuff, because at the end of the day, if we really love this stuff and if we really want to have it, then we're going to pay the amount we're going to pay for it. Like, I don't think there is any like stop to it. Like, yeah, I'm sure you're going to get a few people who are like, oh yeah, I'm not going to pay that much for that and that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course, because especially nowadays things are pricey, so we try to be a little bit more careful with our money and what we do buy and what we don't absolutely need. It has become a very like, do we need this type of living? So I do understand that maybe it'll help in that kind of situation, but at the same time, I don't know if it really is gonna make too much of a huge difference. I feel like at the end of the day, we might just have another tea party where, you know, threw stuff overboard on the ship or whatnot. And I'm kidding. Um, but I really do think that I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everybody to live a little longer. I want everybody to not make such bad decisions. But at the end of the day, we all make our own decisions, and I think we're gonna make them one way or another. So, with that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? Before I end this story, I do want to say that I know in Mexico, I don't know if they have this tax, but I know like a lot of their candy and their food products now, they have these little like tags in front of their packaging, and it's either like says like this is excessive calories or this is good for you or that kind of stuff, like just different things to like kind of help people make smarter choices when they're buying stuff. And all of the food from over there is has to have this labels on them, and I guess because they're also trying to fight like the obesity stuff and whatnot, and so the more conscious you are of what you're buying, then maybe the more that it's gonna work for you not to buy it. So I think it's a thing that everybody's trying to do. I don't know if it's working for them. I haven't read like any statistics of like if it's working for Mexico or not. But that's the closest that I've seen to like people getting like texts and stuff or that kind of stuff for like unhealthy things. So I guess that's a thing to look at into. But like I said, let us know if you guys think that this should happen or this shouldn't happen. And leave it in the comments, you know? So to our next story. And this one is from Reddit. Good old Reddit. So this one's from Am I the A-hole forum. And it's from a username outrageous underscore share 7008. And this was posted 17 hours ago. And the title is Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out of my house for trying to convince my daughter to give her baby to my sister-in-law? I, 34 female, have been married to my husband for 10 years. We have 2 daughters together, 7 and 5, and I have a daughter from high school relationship who is 17. My daughter is 7 months pregnant. The father is in her life, and they both are working hard to save some money. I've already had the necessary talks with my daughter, but she is dead set on being a mother to this child. My sister-in-law, 35, has struggled with fertility and basically has been told that she cannot have children. They've been actively trying and just not using protection for the past 10 years and only conceived twice, ending in early miscarriages. My mother-in-law already brought up the idea of letting sister-in-law adopt this baby, which we told her. Hold up, let me backtrack that. My mother-in-law already brought up the idea of letting sister-in-law adopt this baby, which we told her my daughter's wishes. The other day, I came home from work and my mother-in-law was over. I overheard her talking to my daughter about that idea, telling her how she wouldn't be fit to be a mother and sister-in-law is much more prepared, and how she wouldn't want to repeat the cycle because I had her so young. She then pulled a guilt trip and told her how sister-in-law has dreamed for a child. I simply opened the door and just said, "Get out." She stared at me in complete disbelief and said I couldn't kick her out of her son's house. I said, "I can," and I just did. She left, but then when my husband got home from work, he said that she had left a ton of messages about how in the wrong I am and how I'm setting my daughter up for failure. My husband is on my side. But am I the a-hole? Oof, spicy, as me and my friend would say. This one, oof, is a very sensitive topic. I'm gonna start off with I feel for the people who want children and can't have children. I sometimes get to see, being a person who has worked in cases of domestic abuse, childcare. When I used to work for the Family Crisis Center, I used to do childcare for them while the mothers went and had their meetings that had gone through like domestic abuse and that kind of stuff. And seeing those children grow up in homes with, I guess, you have to know that the dad was very abusive to them and that kind of stuff. And these people get these kids and instead of loving them, don't love them. And you see people who are willing to give their life to have a child. It just breaks my heart because there's parents out there who don't deserve them and there's parents out there who do deserve them. Well, I guess they wouldn't be parents. People out there who do deserve them who can't have them. And it honestly breaks my heart so much. Like I'm getting teary-eyed about it. But it's so unfair sometimes. It's so unfair how this happens. to people, but I always thought that there's plenty of ways to, I guess, have a kid. Plenty of other ways that not necessarily mean to have kid from your own stomach, but maybe adoption. Adoption is one I've always been big on, like giving a child a second home, even fostering. A lot of these kids don't get to know what it's like to have a stable family and to be foster. I know sometimes like going back and forth between families sucks. So in order to have like a stable family until their situation is either fixed or they can be put onto the adoption program, I feel like the people who can do this for them is so great. The people who are able to give these kids a stable home for a moment is amazing. There's so many other ways that we can go about this, but I know it's also not as simple as just saying it as to doing it. I've heard how adoption process can be very difficult. I've heard how the systems fails as foster parents. Not everybody who's a foster parent is nice. I've heard the bad side of the stories, but I've heard the good sides of them too. And so it's hard to be like, oh, this sister-in-law should just try and again and keep trying, or should try a different way. But yeah, people just are having some like, I don't think that we should just push it on for her to all of a sudden want to like try other things and like keep pushing on her to just keep trying because it's easier said than done. But at the same time, I feel like it was out of line for that mother-in-law to tell this young lady who has decided that she wants to have this kid, who has decided she's going to work her ass off so she can have this kid and so she can have some money for this kid, who the boyfriend is involved. He's around. He's taking responsibility for this kid. I understand that it's not the ideal situation for a lot of people, being 17, being just barely out of high school and already having to have a kid, already having to go ahead, you need to get your life together. There's no like, if we, or there's no like, when we have to do it now. So yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, they're ready for it. Like, they want it. And I feel like it was so out of line for this mother-in-law to be like, well, you don't want to repeat the cycle. Like, F you, first of all. Like, that's so rude to say. You don't just tell somebody that. Like, yeah, they maybe made a mistake. I won't say they made a mistake because maybe they wanted to have a kid. Who knows? I've met people who are 18. They know they want a kid and they're gonna have a kid one way or another. So we don't know her situation, but hey, if she wants to have this kid and this feels like it's her thing, then it's very wrong of her to try to guilt trip her into giving it to this, I guess, sister-in-law who can't have kids. I feel like that should come out of this young lady's heart if she wants to do it, if she feels like maybe this isn't going to work out for her, then I feel like it should come out of her but not be guilt tripped into doing it, because later on she might have regrets. And I've heard of like stories from mothers who were young who wished they didn't have to give up their child, but they had to because they couldn't work around it, any other way. And they kind of regret it, in life, but there's nothing much they can do about it. Once they've given up rights, they've given up rights. So it's a sad story. I don't think the mom was the a-hole for kicking the mother-in-law out. I think that was great. I think she stood up for her daughter. And I'm really glad that the dad is on the side, because most of the time the dads could be like, well, my mom told me this. And and he could be all up in his mom's side, but he's not. He's sticking to his wife's side, and he thinks that it's the right thing because at the end of the day, she crossed the line, a line that shouldn't have been crossed. And I just hope this mother-in-law just gets it together because like that was rude. That was so many lines were crossed. So much stuff was said that shouldn't have been said, and I would have been a pissed parent for sure. So I hope that this young lady makes the right decision for her, whether it's keeping the child, not keeping the child, whatever helps her and her future or whatever she feels like she's good and set on. It does sound like this. If the sister-in-law were to have this kid, then it would be a very loved kid considering she's been wanting kids forever. So who knows how this works out for them. I pray for the best for them, and I hope they get their good closing, I guess, would be the right word. Probably not the right word. I almost lost the story. Alright, so let me know what you guys think. Do you think that she was a-hole for kicking her mother-in-law out? Or do you think she wasn't? And let me know in the comments below. So, on to our next story of the day. And I gotta bring it up on Google. Alright. And one last story about the world and I guess the stuff that makes our world be good again. So, this one is titled The World's Largest Experimental Nuclear Fusion Reactor Generates First Plasma in Japan. And it goes, the largest operational nuclear fusion reactor on Earth just produced its first plasma when it came online over the weekend in Japan. The Tokamak-style nuclear fusion reactor, the JT60SA, used superconducting magnets to heat and contain a gas to 200 million Celsius, turning it into a form of matter called plasma. Nuclear fission was billed as the holy grail of renewable energy, the solutions to Earth's energy needs, and even the last revolution in energy. That mimics the process that powers our sun, but in a way that produces no emissions and no radiation. So, as we can tell, it goes on to talk about the history of this, like, little, I guess, not so little, but because it's the largest operation nuclear fusion reactor. So, in conclusion, so I don't bore y'all with the whole backstory of this thing, they have managed to get it to go, and like I said, it's a good thing because plasma helps with our renewable, like it said, energy and that kind of stuff. But just imagine all the, like, what's the word? Now I can't think of it. Now I'm just stupid. But anyways, all the energy that we would be able to save in plants that don't necessarily need to be there in the way we use energy now. So, I don't know. I guess it's a pick of your poison type of thing because I'm sure it takes a lot for these giant generators to run and create the plasma. So I'm sure that getting it to where it gets, yeah, it might be a little bit healthier, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, how much more is it taking from our actual electrical plants? But besides the point, I think it's a cool thing. I think the fact that we have gotten into this part of our technology where we can start doing some kind of stuff like this with plasma is great, because I know we have worked so hard to even get to this point where we can even see a possible future having just plasma energy. I think it's amazing. It could really be a turning point for a lot of things. So I'm interested to see where this goes, how it works out, if it keeps going, if Japan ends up being like the first plasma generated, electricity generated country, that kind of stuff. So I'm really interested to know how that works out for them. Let me know what you guys think, if you think this is a good thing, a bad thing, and let me know in the comments below. And I believe that is all I have for y'all. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a good week, and I hope y'all have enjoyed today's podcast. Or if y'all are watching on YouTube video, hope you have enjoyed today. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I hope it is a good week, and there is, for those of us who celebrate Christmas, there's 14 days till Christmas. I know, because we're keeping count in our calendar at work. So 14 days till Christmas. It's almost here. All the Christmas lights, all the Christmas trees, the presents and everything. It's so great. I love it. I love every part of this. But I hope you guys are being safe out there. If you are going to like 500 Christmases from here on into the real Christmas, have fun, be safe, don't party too hard, don't do nothing too crazy, and I will see y'all again next Monday. Bye.